Hey there, how you doing? It's me, Alex William Smith, better known to many of you as Jonathan Royal, hypnotist of magicalguru.com and www.hypnosisweek.com, where you can see and listen to interviews with leading experts in the world of hypnosis, mind therapy, and related areas. Well, on this edition, which is being recorded on the 6th of October 2022, I'm going to be reviewing this book that you can see on screen called Demystifying Hypnosis, Where It Originated, Where It Went Wrong, and Where to Go From Here, written by Scott Allerton. Let me just look at my notes because I've got a lot of notes for this. I want to get things factually correct. Written by Scott Allerton of the Sydney Integrative Hypnotherapy.com.au. That's Sydney Integrative Hypnotherapy.com.au. All various links I mention will be above or below this video, depending on where you see it. But that's the front of the book, okay? Demystifying Hypnosis, and that's the back of the book. Technical spec-wise, there are 194 pages that actually have text on, okay? Right. With that in mind, I'm going to read you the advert on Amazon for this book, okay? So this is what the ad copy on Amazon says. It says, and I quote word for word, Demystifying Hypnosis, Where It Originated, Where It Went Wrong, and Where to Go From Here. If you are anything like me, understanding the framework for your chosen profession is essential. After achieving my advanced diploma in clinical hypnosis and psychotherapy, I was thrust into a community that constantly argued and contradicted each other. The confusion almost pushed me to the point of wanting to leave to study something else. Though I couldn't just walk away from such a powerful therapeutic approach that I love and use to achieve amazing results for my clients. There has been much confusion and debate among both practitioners and researchers in the field of suggestive therapeutics on the foundational point of what hypnosis is. Currently, we have the term hypnosis used to label the working state, the process, and the framework, all within the same field. If that isn't confusing enough, we are using terms that imply sleep for therapeutic working states that have nothing to do with sleep at all. My goal has been to research the origins of the framework of hypnotism, the historical figures who made and kept it such a mess, and to propose a structure towards consensus. I'm pleased to say that all the evidence I've been collecting over the last 25 years as a magnetist, biogenic practitioner, hypnotherapist and neurolinguistic programming practitioner supported the pieces to fall into place perfectly. The key was to put them all in one place in a way that has never been done before. This book will provide the clarity, structure, evidence, and personal clinical experiences to help you understand the origins and the correct framework for the fascinating field of hypnosis. First issue is that it says in a way that's never been done before, but we'll come to that in a minute. Let me tell you, if you look at this on Amazon.com, it literally has only one review at the minute, and it is a 1-star review. And it's clearly from someone who's not scared to say who they are, because their name is on there, namely Melvin S. Marsh, MSCHT. In other words, a hypnotherapist. And if you Google search Melvin S. Marsh, sure enough, biography and their website comes up and shows they're a practicing certified hypnotherapist in Augusta, Georgia. Okay, so it's a real person, and their review is as follows. Before I get into details about this book, okay, it says 1 star, posted on the August 22nd, 2022, and the review goes, this relates to a pre-publication version of the work. I was one of the people who was helping him with the writing of the book. I am a professional hypnosis researcher with approaching 1,200 hours of hypnosis-specific training and a graduate degree in psychology which focused on hypnosis research. I am in one of the most successful practices in the United States for hypnotherapy. Scott has an interest in hypnosis, obviously, but he has his own agenda, which is not always completely founded in any reality. He dismisses anything that does not back his narrative and at times shows a minimum of critical thinking skills. Scott would ask his professional hypnotherapist friends to give opinions on what he was writing, and I read and did a lot of it. Many of us did. Overwhelmingly, our comments and information was ignored, even if it was documented in the historical and scientific research. He used intuition to know facts were wrong. One example was his focus on mesmerism, which was disproven centuries ago, but he still swears it's real. Combine that with his mansplaining, for lack of a better term, as he does it to both men and women, about things he doesn't understand, and this does not always lead to the best outcomes. He would tell us that we did not know our own field when, at the time, he wasn't even in professional practice. That is just a few months before he self-published. Since there is no quality control, I am certain the published version still includes many mistakes which he will not correct. For another example, as of a week ago, at the time of this writing, when he was trying to promote his book, he was mansplaining Reiki to Reiki masters. At least 4 highly respected Reiki masters were telling him that the basic ideas that he was putting forth about their field was the result of a fundamental misunderstanding. He didn't care and attacked the Reiki masters, all of which who teach, and said they didn't understand their own profession. I was present for this. I was also present when he mansplained women's issues to women and transgender issues to transgender people, both of which he also got very wrong. Maybe you're the type who wants a book that the author doesn't have much experience in the field and won't listen to people who have the experience to correct any issues. If so, this is the book for you. If you are not, there are other books out there. Wow. If that was a nameless review, I would give it zero. I would have given it zero kind of acknowledgement. But the thing is, they put their name to it. Melvin S. Marsh, clinical hypnotherapist. And they're a genuine person. And they've had the balls to, put the name to it. And it is someone who's been, it appears, in actual clinical practice a lot longer than the author, Scott Allerton. Now, what's that got to do with anything? Well, you know what I said before about that phrase? Let's have a look again at let me just read the exact wording from the advert again. Bearing in mind, this book retails for $21.95 on the Amazon.com website, and it retails for £19.65 on the Amazon UK website today, the 6th of October 2022. Okay. Now, on the advert, it categorically says, and the key was to put them all in one place in a way that has never been done before. This book will provide the clarity, structure, evidence, and personal clinical experiences to help you understand the origins and the correct framework for the fascinating field of hypnosis. And it's a 199-page book that's 6 by 0.45 by 9 inches in size. Why do I tell you that? Well, that's because that book size is smaller than, is it? I don't know. It's probably about the same. But anyway, the book size kind of is semi-irrelevant, but just let me tell you something. The key thing about this book, the key essence, getting to the point is key argument here, I'll hold it over here, is that James Braid did not coin the term hypnosis, hypnotism, hypnotist, or any of the other HYPN start words, hypnotherapy, hypnotherapist, despite the fact that many historical books and records and people teaching say that James Braid, whilst in Manchester in England, which is a Scottish guy, coined the term hypnosis and hypnotism and other things. Different people have different stories. Whereas the evidence shows, and this book goes into it in depth, but don't go buying it yet because I'm going to save you a massive amount of money, okay? I'm going to save you money and make sure you get even more quality information. In this book, the key argument is that a person called Baron Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers, don't know how you pronounce it, but I'll tell you, it's Baron Etienne, Etienne, Felix, Felix, de Henin, that's apostrophe in the air, Henin, then a separate word, DE, a separate word, Cuvillers, or Cuvillers. You've got the spelling. It's Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers, however you want to pronounce it, who was alive from 1755 till 1841. And this book goes into the fact that the evidence shows that in circa 1820, 1821, okay, a good 20, 21, 22 years thereabouts earlier than James Braid publishing his book Neuropnology, Neurypnology, which was published in 1842. So in 1820, 22 years earlier, Baron Etienne Felix de Henin de Cuvillers, okay, had a book called Le Magnétisme Éclair. L-E, Magnétisme, Magnetisme, Éclair, Eclaire, which was published in 1820, some 22 years earlier than James Braid's book, which is usually attributed as being, people say that's the first time there's mention of HYPN prefixed word, hypnosis or hypnotism or whatever. Whereas in Le Magnétisme Éclair, 1820, written by Baron Etienne Felix de Henin de Cuvillers, there are loads of HYPN words. Okay? So therefore, the evidence does indeed, as it says in here, seem to show that the creator of scientific hypnotism, the word hypnotism, and its meaning in the sense of apparently sending people to sleep, was indeed Baron Etienne Felix de Henin de Cuvillers in around circa 1820. At least in print, Le Magnétisme Éclair of 1820 mentions the HYPN prefix words, numerous of them, and they're kind of mentioned in this book with translations on whatnot. Now, the fact that this is genuinely the case, because I've done my own independent research, means that a lot of people teaching hypnosis are teaching it incorrectly, in the terms of they're saying that James Braid coined the word hypnosis and hypnotism and this, that, the other, whereas the evidence shows it was Baron Etienne Felix de Henin de Cuvillers. Okay? The thing is, though, the book, the advert, as I said, says that it claims that this is something that's never been done before. Well, that is something of an issue, because I'm going to draw your attention to a few things. Firstly, if you go on Amazon.com or Amazon.co.uk and type in Henin, Henin, separate word D-E, and then it's Cuvillers, which is Cuvillers, and then the words the creator of hypnosis. So you get the book title, Henin De Cuvillers, the creator of hypnosis. You will find a book published on the 24th of July 2017, at least the British English print edition of it was printed then. The actual original French edition was printed in January 2017, okay? So this predates this book by 5 years and 3 months. The book, Henin De Cuvillers, the creator of hypnosis, is written by Remy Cote, R-E-M-I, first name, and then C-O-T-E, second name. That book has 139 pages, okay? Which is, this book I hold in my hands, 199 pages, and the one that I've just mentioned is 139 pages, so 49, 59, 69, 79, 89. So this book's 60 pages more, but different text size, more spacing. To be honest, in terms of actual word content, there is, I would argue, very, 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 very little difference in size. Okay. More importantly, let me read you the advert for the book Henin De Cuvillers, the creator of hypnosis, by Remy Court, that was published in French first in January 2017 and then released in English on the 24th of July 2017. That's got 139 pages and only costs £3.85 United Kingdom sterling from Amazon.co.uk and only cost $5 United States dollars from Amazon.com. So it's much, much cheaper than this book. Let me read you the advert for that from Amazon. Historically, hypnotherapy can be traced back to the origins of clinical psychology. Hypnosis is a medical and psychological discipline with 200 years of recorded history, and its effectiveness has been validated by numerous scientific studies. This little book aims to help recognise the work of Etienne Félix de Henin De Cuvillers, 1755 to 1841, and reinstate him as the true inventor of scientific hypnosis. We will demonstrate that many techniques and concepts of modern hypnotherapy and psychotherapy are attributable to his research. While it may be difficult to understand why Henin De Cuvillers' work was forgotten or disregarded by most of the researchers and theorists in the field, this book seeks to correct this careless omission. The ambition of this little book is neither to cover the entire history of hypnosis, nor to summarise everything that was written about clinical hypnosis at the time in Henin De Cuvillers' work. However, we will cover his main innovations, some 2 centuries ago at the very origin of hypnosis. We shall see why we can affirm that the Baron de Henin De Cuvillers, a member of the Academy of Sciences of Paris, was the creator of the method of hypnotic suggestion. Unfortunately, even when confronted to the writings of Cuvillers, very few scholars and theorists acknowledge his importance. Gravitz and Gerton, 1984, commented about Henin De Cuvillers' writing, but today too many researchers and academic theorists are ready to claim paternity of his concepts, despite their being 200 years old. Indeed, many ideas and concepts of hypnosis, psychology, and psychotherapy must be attributed to Henin De Cuvillers. With the help of translation from various texts, we will read in Cuvillers' own word his conceptions, theories, and techniques of hypnosis. Reading this book will help you understand the real history of hypnosis, its contribution to psychology and psychotherapy, and its fundamental techniques. In and of itself, this humble work is intended as a small and respectful tribute to Etienne Félix de Henin De Cuvillers, who was the first to write and publish about the fundamental laws of psychology that indicated that relaxation and calm are psychologically healthy. Henin De Cuvillers was the first to publish scientific studies on hypnotic techniques used in deepening the state of calm and relaxation that we now call trance. Hypnosis is not placebo. Well, we'll agree to disagree on that. We will demonstrate that the main object of Henin De Cuvillers' work was to demystify hypnosis and to show that it is not a placebo effect. He wanted to reasonably describe what was then called magnetism as a scientifically plausible mechanism. In his writing, if he could have, he would have used today's language to certify that hypnosis is not the result of a placebo effect. Again, we'll agree to disagree for now. For Henin De Cuvillers, hypnosis was something different from the beliefs, faith, credulity, and superstition that we ascribe today to placebo effect. Hypnosis was not the result of conditioned expectations of the experience of positive effects. Conversely, according to his conception, the mechanism of action of hypnosis resides in the access it gives to the imagination. Unlike magnetizers, imagination, for Christ's sake, which is the key to placebo. But anyway, unlike magnetizers, Henin De Cuvillers did not rely on unfalsifiable dogmas, but rather on facts and repeatable effects. For him, imagination itself has a power on the human body. Too right, it does. It's the key to placebo. But anyway, on the psychological level, his writings invoke the virtues of muscular inhibition and relaxation. He stated that hypnotic trance was produced by the blissful immobility offered by what he called the abyston, a posture where the hypnotized person concentrated on his own hand, on the sensations of warmth, energy, and its benevolent protection. In the next chapter, we will see that according to Henin De Cuvillers, hypnosis could not be a sham or placebo because it involves a consensual investment of the imagination. Well, the fact that it is placebo, that's a different matter for a different day. But the point is, in the book Henin De Cuvillers, the creator of hypnosis, first published in January 2017, then published in English 24th of July 2017 by Remy Court, that's only going to cost you £3.85 United Kingdom sterling or $5 United States dollars. It's covering the exact same stuff. Now, I've looked in the back of here because there is a section that's references, okay? And I'll look again now, but oh, it is in here. You know, when I looked earlier, I could not find the title of that book, but I've just looked now, and guess what? Henin De Cuvillers, the creator of hypnosis by Remy Court. There you go. So the person who wrote this book, namely Scott Allerton, definitely read the book from 2017. In fact, he admits it in here. So how can he possibly, on his own Amazon ad, and I quote again, the key was to put them all in one place the way it's never been done before. Well, it's a debate point. But also I draw your attention to the fact that there was mention in the Henin De Cuvillers, the creators of hypnosis Amazon ad, of M.A. Gravitz. That's M.A.Gravitz, Gravitz, who, I can tell you, on the 1st of July 1993, published an article in the American Journal of Clinical Hypnosis headed Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers, a founder of hypnosis. Now, just let me have a look at the back here. And papers mentioned. I don't appear to see that mentioned in the resources, which would say to me that the person writing this hasn't done much research. And why do I say that? Because if you tap Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers into Google, search that, and then also maybe search Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers, creator of hypnotism, ? Into Google. You'll find that very quickly you come across semanticscholar.org. That's semanticscholar.org, a website that on there you can find the 1st of July 1993 article by M.A. Gravitz in the American Journal of Clinical Hypnosis entitled Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers, a founder of hypnosis, which is almost 30 years ago, very nearly 30 years old, that article, which goes into stuff that's kind of expanded on here, but it's not that this is originally expanding on it, because as we said, there's a hell of a lot of it already covered, and some may argue in a better manner, in the other book that I've mentioned, Henin De Cuvillers, the creator of hypnosis by Remy Court, that actually is credited in here. So, also, if you go onto Wikipedia, okay, and search for Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers, okay, you can see that the first entry was made in July 2007, which is some 15 years and 3 months ago. Meaning that there has been out there in the ether on Wikipedia for 15 years and 3 months at least. In the American Journal of Clinical Hypnosis, the article by M.A. Gravitz, which is now almost 30 years old, was published on the 1st of July 1993. There are sources out there, that's 30 years ago, But if you go digging the sources even further back than that, where it is clearly stated that Etienne Félix de Henin De Cuvillers was effectively the creator of scientific hypnotism, and that it wasn't actually James Braid, as people incorrectly relate. But as Scott Allerton mentions in here, it is possible that confusion was caused by James Braid translating from French into English works, namely Le Magnétisme Éclair from 1820, mentioned earlier, into English, and that then, because he was starting to use the English translations, he got the credit for having coined those words, popularising them. When in truth, it was Baron Etienne Félix de Henin, which is mentioned in here, mentioned in that other book. It's mentioned on Wikipedia. It's mentioned in the American Journal of Clinical Hypnosis almost 30 years ago. It's not a new groundbreaking discovery, okay? So that's the first thing. It's not a new groundbreaking discovery. And if you want the background on it, you've got a choice. You either spend £19.65 United Kingdom sterling on Amazon.co.uk or $21.95 on Amazon.com for Demystifying Hypnosis by Scott Allerton, or you spend just £3.85 United Kingdom sterling or $5 on Henin De Cuvillers, The Creator of Hypnosis by Remy Court, published on the 24th of July 2017 in English, and you use the rest of your money, the other $16.95, or the other, I'm just quickly trying to do the maths here, about £15.70 to treat yourself to the well over 100, about 130 odd in total, full-length training courses, books, manuals and papers on hypnotism, suggestive therapeutics, animal magnetism, mesmerism, as it was once called years ago, and a whole bunch of other things that you can find at the links above or below this video. One particular book of which I would draw your attention to that's amongst those packages is Hypnotism, Its History and Present Development by Fredrik Bjornstrom, MD. It's the translation of the second Swedish edition by Baron Nils Posse, MG, published in 1889 by the Humboldt Publishing Company. Now, that was published in 1889, which is 69 years after Etienne Félix de Henin De Cuvillers' Le Magnétisme Éclair was published in 1820. Only 69 years later, though, but the key thing is that that's 132 years ago from today, which is the 6th of October 2022. Why is that important? Well, if you look at the book Hypnotism, Its History and Present Development by Fredrik Bjornstrom, published in 1889, which is one of the books that's available in the ebooks PDF package above or below this video, okay, you will see what people just 69 years after Le Magnétisme Éclair was published by Baron Etienne Félix de Henin De Cuvillers are saying about hypnotism, hypnosis, hypnotherapy, call it what you will. They're already saying it by then. So is it any wonder that 132 years later, now in 2022, that people are saying what they are, which Scott Allerton tries to argue means that what they're talking about isn't real hypnosis, because, as he argues in here, apparently Baron Etienne Félix de Henin De Cuvillers' true motive was that hypnotism was to mean a state that you've guided them into, that is the... I've got notes here, so I want to quote this exactly. The hypnagogia, Hypnagogia, hypnagogia state. I also prefer the word referred, hypnagogic, Hypnogogic. That state when you've gone to bed or you're lying down and you're just drifting off from consciousness, but you haven't quite gone to sleep. That transitional period as you go to sleep is called the hypnagogic state. And in the morning, when you start to come out of your deep sleep before you're fully awake. That's called the hypnopompic state. Those two states, but when guided into it, so hypnagogic, because it's the state before going to sleep, you're being guided into it. Getting them there and suspending them in that state is what Scott Allerton argues was the true intent of Baron Etienne Felix de Hénin, of what he meant hypnotism to mean. And that if you are not taking people into that relaxed, arguably almost sleep-like transitional to sleep state, that you are not doing hypnotism or hypnosis, you are doing something else. There's also arguments that hypnotism is something very different than the energetic, bioenergetic process of magnetism. Look, if you go to the links above or below this video and take advantage of the 90% off the 2 packages of PDFs of Mesmerism, Suggestive Therapeutic books, some of which trace back to the early 1800s, okay? And there's loads of them from the mid and late 1800s, you will see there's nothing new under the sun. Also, you will see, as I've said, that the so-called misunderstandings of the past several decades, well, no. The so-called misunderstandings, or what's generally accepted to be true, whether it is or isn't, is irrelevant at the minute, go back at least 132 years, as I say, and can be seen in Hypnotism, Its History and Present Development by Frederick Bronstorm, translation of the second Swedish edition by Baron Nils Posse, published in 1889. That's in the packages that's above or below this. And the thing is, you can get both of those big packages, which gives you over 130 different books, manuals, and courses, together with going on Amazon and buying a copy of Henin De Cuvillers, The Creator of Hypnosis by Remy Court, for less than it will cost you to buy a copy of Demystifying Hypnosis by Scott Allerton. You decide what to do, but if you want a physical book that'll tell you all about the truth of Henin De Cuvillers, get The Creator of Hypnosis by Remy Court for £3.85 off Amazon UK, or $5 off Amazon.com, published in 2017. And also treat yourself to the 2 packages of PDFs that's above, the links are above or below this video on YouTube. Just go, and in the description will be above or below, depending on where you see it, the links to get 90% off the usual price of the packages, so that you can get both of those PDF packages and a book by Remy Court for less than it would cost you to buy this one book alone. Then you will have all the information you need to decide for yourself if the intent, because he says in here, he argues that the intent of Baron Etienne Felix de Hénin de Cuvillers was X, Y, and Z, namely that if you're not putting somebody into that hypnagogic state, that transitional state between consciousness and sleep, that almost daydreamy semi-sleep state, that then you're not doing hypnotism or hypnosis, and that it's not just about suggestion, and it's categorically got nothing to do with placebo. Well, let's remember in 1820, when Baron Etienne Felix de Hénin de Cuvillers wrote that, the understanding of placebo wasn't what it is now, okay? In fact, if you want to understand more what hypnosis truly is now, it truly works, go to ultimatehypnosiscourse.com, and there is a free 4-hour video that in it tells you about the Pygmalion effect, the Rosenthal effect, the Galatea effect, the Hawthorne effect, the Totem effect, and a whole bunch of other proven psychological, scientifically studied principles that are taking place together, not one of them. There's also the placebo effect. The nocebo effect can be evolved in certain contexts. All of these things come together to make a recipe that's greater than its holes. Some of the people in the 1800s had realized some of these things, but they hadn't realized them all. And the study and the research wasn't what it is now. And the findings and the proof that we have now didn't exist then. So if somebody did have an intention then, their intention then was based on their own personal beliefs and also their own limited experiences and whatever knowledge was available at the time. To say that everything that Baron Etienne Felix de Hénin de Cuvillers said in 1820 in Le Magnétisme Éclair was cast iron correct. He felt it to be correct, based on his knowledge, experience, and what was available and known to people at that time. I have no doubts whatsoever that if he was an open-minded, intelligent man as he seemed to be, that were he alive now in 2022 and had studied, even if he just went to ultimatehypnosiscourse.com and studied that 4-hour video that's there to watch free of charge, if he then joined my Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp and studied the trainings in there, I'm sure he would end up turning around, as egotistical and arrogant as it would sound, and going, wow, this placebo effect thing's powerful, but so is the Rosenthal effect, aka the Pygmalion effect, which triggers off the Galatea effect, which then when you, as a responsible therapist, also use the power of the Hawthorne effect, the totem effect, understand the nocebo effectively, and how that can work in therapy as well. How they all go together, and they're all elements of the jigsaw that make up suggestion. Whether it's visual suggestion, verbal suggestion, situational, environmental suggestion, or one of the many other forms of suggestion that are taught in the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com. It doesn't matter. It's all suggestion, which is why I categorically say hypnosis only exists in the mind of the believer. There's no such thing as hypnosis, only suggestion, which is now more fully understood by the majority of people who are open-minded to the fact that all complementary alternative medicine, all holistic health approaches, even conventional medical approaches, largely owe their success to the power of the placebo effect. And a lot of people go, well, that only accounts for, like, on average, 33% success rate of placebo. That's true if you don't fully understand it and use all the elements of Rosenthal, Pygmalion effect, Galatea effect, Hawthorne effect, totem effect, understanding nocebo, understanding of verbal, non-verbal, environmental suggestion, the understanding of a whole bunch of other things, okay, that dealt with at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com in the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp. Hence, it comes with a full 1 year, 100% satisfaction money back guarantee. Hypnosis is mesmerism. Mesmerism is hypnosis, is suggestive therapeutics. They're all one and the same. In fact, if you look at the books that you can get above or below this video, PDFs of the old books from the 1800s, you see that magnetism as it was exposed and mesmerism as it was exposed, people did point out the fact that it was an important seeming ritualistic process that captures people's belief and expectations and heightened their belief and expectancy to cause the reactions. And that these crises they have that are talked about in here that are apparently fear-induced through the fight, flight, freeze syndrome. I'm just summarising there. Well, actually, no. A so-called catharsis moment can be caused by expectation and belief alone. Fear is not necessary. Anyway, there we go. What can I say? In this book, okay, the author, Scott Allerton, says that his first mention of hypnosis in print is a book called Suggestive Therapeutics by Dr. Christian A. Herter, published in 1889. Oh, but he said that's a translation of a French book, and it did not convey the meaning in the way that Etienne Félix de Henin De Cuvillers meant. Well, that's interesting, because the book I mentioned earlier, Hypnotism, Its History and Present Development by Frederick Bornstrom, that's in the PDFs that's above or below this book, is a translation of a second Swedish edition in 1889. And, well, there's other books in 1889. I'm not 100% certain, but I would say if somebody was to get picky about it and look at it, that that may not have been the book that's quoted, the first book to mention it, you know. There are lots of others. Now, he does say then it doesn't convey the meaning in that way, and says that the one that conveys it more the way it was meant was published in 1907 by Henry S. Monroe and was called A Handbook of Suggestive Therapeutics and Applied Hypnotism, Psychic Science. Well, that book, incidentally, is in the PDF you can get above or below this video from the links on offer with 90% off. Again, though, I would say when you get the packages above or below this video, have a look. That book's in there from 1907, but there are others from 1889 that when you look at them, you'll see hypnosis, hypnotism, and other HYPN words mentioned. So I think that's possibly on shaky ground as well. So, what are we saying? What am I saying? What's my overall? This book's actually well written, okay? There's lots of things in this book that I agree with, but the reason I agree with them is because I published or taught them as long ago as 30 years ago, okay? And by that I mean there's a section in the back, and just let me get it for you, where there's one-liners, demystifying the one-liners, things like hypnosis has nothing to do with relaxation. Hypnosis has nothing to do with sleep. And he argues that hypnosis, done properly, does have relaxation and transitional sleep involved. I agree. And you've only got to read The Relaxation Response by Dr. Herbert Benson and Beyond the Relaxation Response by Dr. Herbert Benson and look at Progressive Muscular Relaxation by Jacobson to realise how healing such actual relaxation can be, and study of the hypnagogic state, the daydreaming state, of how people become more suggestible, because suggestion is the key to it. So yeah, that makes it work even better. It's not essential all the time, but it makes it even more enhanced, and also makes them believe they've experienced the magic of being asleep, because people incorrectly or correctly, whatever stance you want to have on it, believe that hypnosis is sleep. So there's various one-liners. I don't care what it's called. It just works, and then it goes on to the argument, well, you should care. Is it worth getting the book just for those one-liners alone? Frankly, if you want to spend 20 quid sterling and have something that's an interesting read, but not original by any means, and in some places, frankly, based just on opinion, the author's opinion of what he believes Baron Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers' opinion was in 1820, without the possibility of asking him, based on what's available now, it is just an opinion. It's just conjecture. Personally, if you're into reading your books, yeah, get a copy. If you just want to know about who truly was the creator of scientific hypnotism and the HYPM words, and more on Baron Etienne Felix de Henin De Cuvillers, then here's what you do. You go on Amazon and you buy Hénin De Cuvillers, The Creator of Hypnosis by Remy Colt, the book that was published first in January 2017 and then published in English in 24th of July 2017 for just £3.85 United Kingdom sterling, or $5. And you use the rest of that money that you would have spent if you'd spent £19.65 on this, or $21.95. Use what you've saved by buying that other book, and you go to the links above or below this video and you buy the two different packages, one with over 100 books in and another one with over 30 books in. Between them, you'll have over 130 full-length books, manuals and courses in suggestive therapeutics, magnetism, mesmerism, hypnotherapy, hypnotism, call it what you will, and you'll see there's nothing new under the sun. And you'll come to the conclusion when you study them that it's all just suggestion. It's just repackaged under different names. And you know what? It doesn't really matter what his intention was back then, because it was based on what was available and known then. Advances, massive ones, have been made since. And the power of the placebo and authority, and in terms of the authority being the key, being the least uncertain person in the room, transmitting that authority to the client, which is something that was definitely been happening with mesmerism and Mesmer in his purple flowing robes and his authoritarian stage hypnosis style manner. Then look at my interview that I did with Dr. Steve Bierman on hypnosisweek.com, or go to the Celebrity Hypnotist YouTube channel, click on playlist and click on Hypnosis Week and look for the one I did with Dr. Steve Bierman, where we discussed the power of authority in great depth. So let me just check over my notes. Yeah, I think that basically it's key. Oh, by the way, there's nothing new about hypnotism whatsoever. The Gutenberg Bible was printed in Mainz in 1455 by Johann Gutenberg. Yeah? Why do I mention this? Well, inside the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp, okay, more details at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com, you will find 3 volumes of the Hypnotist Bible by Delavar, where he points out the Bible is kind of arguably one of the first textbooks giving clues to the power of hypnosis and suggestion and how to use it in healing. Also, you'll find the Bible, God, and Hypnotism package, where I look at religion throughout the years and how all of them use verbal, non-verbal, environmental, and situational suggestion to arguably hypnotize people. And yes, Scott Allerton, even to the point that in churches they purposely take people from fully conscious to that almost going to sleep. In fact, some people do nod off during the sermons, but a skillful priest will manage to keep them in that hypnagogic state. So, there you go. Am I slagging the book off? No, it's a really good book, actually. There's a lot of good stuff in it. It's just that for the same price, you can get the other books I've mentioned and a whole bunch of other resources that will cover everything that's covered in here of any worth, plus a ton of other stuff as well. Yeah. But you know what? If you can afford it, get them all and come to your own conclusions, as I always advise people to do on hypnosisweek.com and my Celebrity Hypnotist YouTube channel. So that's it. The links are above or below this video. Hope you have enjoyed this review. There will be more in future. Bye for now.